Winter can be tough. Cold weather, dry air, and seasonal sniffles. That's why I trust Vicks, a brand with over 125 years of reliable relief. Did you know that low humidity during winter, below 40%, can lead to coughing, congestion, and dry, itchy skin? Vicks is the only humidifier brand offering a powerful 1-2-3 combination: a cough suppressant, menthol vapors, and hydrating mist for fast, effective relief. No wonder it's the #1 brand recommended by pediatricians and home to one of the world's most recognizable scents. I love my Vicks Cool Relief Humidifier. It's easy to use with a large tank, rotating nozzle, and filter-free cool mist. Paired with VapoSteam and VapoPads, it turns my space into a soothing sanctuary, easing my cough and congestion while adding moisture to dry winter air. And right now, you can get 20% off of the Vicks Cool Relief Humidifier on Amazon. Just search Vicks VUL600 Cool Relief Humidifier and click on the coupon. Don't wait. This is your winter essential.
I like to call it an elevator, to imagine that at any given time you can step into the elevator and say, I believe I want to be in peace and acceptance, and I know how to reframe my perspective to shoot my energy up and be there. That's the skill when you really learn this and you really begin to pin where you are. I would say rather than control, we manage, right?
Welcome to the Divorce Survival Guide podcast, where we have open and honest conversations about co-parenting, separation, divorce, and the hardest question of all, should you stay or should you go? I'm Kate Anthony, your Divorce Survival Guide, and I'm here to help you navigate some of the roughest waters you've ever swum in and answer some of your toughest questions. I've been to hell and back. And now it's my mission in life to help you get to the other side of this process with your sanity and your heart intact. Hey everyone, welcome back. Just a couple of things I want to let you know about. First is that as of March 1st, the price for the Unbreakable retreat goes up. The early bird pricing will go away. So you have just a couple weeks to secure your spot at the reduced rate. And that's $500 off the full rate. And we still have 1 or 2 spots open, I think. Something like that. So please, if you're interested in coming to Sedona at the end of April and doing some amazing healing work with a group of gorgeous women and with me at the helm, get your spot at kateanthony.com/unbreakable. And as always, we are accepting rolling enrollment for Phoenix Rising, which also is a group of beautiful women, many of whom will actually be on the retreat. It's, ongoing enrollment. So join us anytime, kateanthony.com/decided. Today, I have with me my friend and colleague, Karen McMahon. And Karen, she is a divorce coach, and she's a wonderful, wonderful, I love my conversations with her because they always make me think, and the way she phrases things and puts things I always get aha and light bulb moments when I talk to her. So I just love it. So we are talking today about the concept of energetic self-perception. Really, we're talking about shifting your energy because we are, all of us, walking balls of energy, and we're constantly shifting between 2 primary states, our everyday selves and our stress response selves. Often we are not at choice in those shifts. And so Karen is highlighting today the 7 levels of energy. She's sort of offering a framework that can help you recognize where you are on the emotional scale and then how to move towards greater awareness and empowerment. Super cool stuff. Really, really interesting. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Karen McMahon. Karen, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a while.
Yes, and I always love our chats.
I do too. Just, yeah, full disclosure, we've been talking for before we hit record. And finally, I was like, I think we need to hit record. All right. So today we are going to talk about this really fascinating energetic self-perception. What do you call it? It's this energetic steps that we move through. You want to intro this? Because it's really fascinating.
We are balls of energy. We are walking balls of energy. And so there are two different categories that our energy falls into. Everyday, lovely daily life, which many of our listeners are like, don't know what that is like, because they're in the other one. They're in the stress response. And so we have life when it works fine and how we are energetically, and then when we're under stress. And so the way we can measure this is through these 7 levels of energy. And I'm going to explain the context really quickly. So level 1 is when you feel like a victim. And if you think about a building, you're not in the basement, you're in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Level 1 is I feel like a victim. My husband's been calling me all types of names. I have been struggling. I have lost myself. I don't even, know who I am anymore. So the thought is I'm a victim. The feeling is apathetic. I'm hopeless. I'm helpless. I can't do anything. I've tried. I can't. And then the action is I'm going to crawl under the covers and try again tomorrow. It's lethargy. So many of us begin in that place when we realize things are falling apart. Now, in contrast, let's look at level 7. And because we're talking primarily to women and mostly moms, I'm going to use childbirth. Now, maybe you had a complicated childbirth, but when you think about having brought the miracle of a living human being into the world, I don't know about you, Kate, but I remember, and mine at 26 and 28, like it was yesterday, that my feet didn't touch the ground for a week, that I felt such bliss and this miraculous experience that there was virtually nothing that could have upset me terribly.
I felt exactly the opposite.
And so it's good that you're saying that, because then what I want to ask you, for the people who would be like, yeah, me too, what is a time in your life? Maybe it was when you got your coaching certificate, when you did something big, when your book got released,
right.
When a time in your life when you like all trouble melted away and you were just like you were one with.
Yes, there was a period of my life. It's sort of, this is my peak experience, right? I think that what we're looking for, right, are these peak experiences when you felt like everything was just amazing and that you couldn't be fucked with. And that was, for me, I was doing a show. This is back in the day when I was still an actor. It was like 96 probably. So it's a long ass time ago. And I was doing a show. I was in Maryland. It was really beautiful in the summer. The show was a huge success, great reviews. But more than that, I was really deeply spiritually connected that summer. Like it was the first time that I had that sort of, I get, and this is actually before program. So before I ever had any real like, I have to like connect to a higher power. But I was so connected and I was so grounded and so just sort of spiritually centered. And it was just incredible, absolutely incredible. I've been chasing that high for, 30 years.
So that's the thing about that level 7 energy, which is considered a place of non-judgment, absolute passion, and creation. Now, as I talk about this, everything comes with a thought, a feeling, and an action. Our thoughts are directly hardwired into our emotions. Our emotions are hardwired into our actions. So in that moment where you were just like so delighted with what was, when you think back, do you recall the ease with which you were going through that?
Oh yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we can counter that with the lack of ease with which you were trying to extricate yourself from your marriage or whatever that difficult time was for you. So that's the concept. And so what we have 7 levels of energy. That victim energy is really the dungeon. One step up from the dungeon is the basement. And the reason I say dungeon is one of the things you and I are going to talk about is what changes in my perspective when I'm in victim mentality versus at the top of the mountain? I'm in the dungeon. If anyone were to think about a dungeon, it's like there's a peephole. I'm looking through a straw. I'm seeing the entire world. My only perspective is as wide as the hole of the straw. That's the extent of my perspective. When I'm in the penthouse, I have this 365-degree perspective. I can find choice. I can be creative. I can stretch to things that when I'm in the dungeon, I just can't. And I like to talk about this, Kate, because I think for people who are like, I'm there, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense that by yourself, you can't stretch into a reframe or a perspective that's going to serve you better. You don't have the energy and you don't have the bandwidth for it. When we go from the dungeon to the basement, so we're going from victim to that one step up is conflict. Now, I've had clients go, I never fight. And it's like, yeah, but look at all the inner conflict you have. So, for those of you who are conflict avoidant, think about worry, stress, discouragement, disappointment. Like, think about all of the internal conflict. It's the same thing, whether it's internal, external. So now, you know how across the country we have those casement windows in the basement? They're not full windows, they're maybe like a foot and a half tall, 2 feet wide, so they're bigger than a straw, but we still have a very limited perspective, and we're at ground level, so all we're seeing are feet. Right?
Right.
Same thing when you're in that victim to anger. Anger is the thought is it's a conflict thought. What's wrong with this freaking human being, and why can't he change? Conflict. Why can't the court be different? Conflict. Why can't my kids, my teenagers behave better? Conflict, right? It's all conflict. It's coming from anger. And so what do? The action. So if the victim action was to stay in bed under the covers, lethargy, conflict's action is defiance. I am putting up my dukes, Kate, and I am fighting with what is. I can't believe he this. It shouldn't be that. It's this whole fight. It's all conflict. Level 3 is, I call it, this is not what my program called it, but I believe level 3 is the gateway. Level 3 is the gateway from the hell of victim and conflict up to all the shades of love. And so level 3 is, can I take personal responsibility for my part in where I am right now? That's the thought. The thought is the personal responsibility part. The emotion is plugging into forgiveness. Can I forgive myself for picking this spouse, for staying as long as I did, for losing my voice, for yelling at my kids because I'm on my last nerve? Can I forgive where I'm at? Then it takes time, took me years. Can I forgive them for being who they are, for being wired the way they are, for behaving the way they are? Not forget. Forgiveness, by the way, is cutting the ties that bind you to your anger and bitterness. It is not standing on a pedestal and saying, I bless and forgive you. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is all about us. And so what comes? The action, right? So we went from lethargy to defiance to cooperation. And that's what I love about level 3. It's like, I may not like it. I may be kicking and screaming a little bit, but I am going to cooperate with what is. And that's where I think people get to the, I'm going to end. I'm scared shit. And I'm still going to end. And I'm worried how it's going to affect the kids. And I'm still going to end. And I'm going to find support. And I am going to cooperate with what's going on, because that is me taking responsibility, me forgiving myself, and me moving on. So level 3 opens up. And then all I'm going to say about 4, 5, and 6 is level 4 is I'm concerned. I have compassion, right? That's the emotion. And I serve. So many people who are codependent can confuse level 1 or 2 codependence with level 4 caretaking. So for instance, at level 4, I am ditching my girlfriends, not because my kids won't love me if I don't help them, because I love them so much, I want to help them. I choose service. I choose to help them. I have compassion. I serve. So level 4 is really interesting, and it can be confusing, especially for women who are so service oriented. And I would really like to talk a little bit about that when we get into it and tell the difference between, for instance, codependence and strategic. could be level 2 versus level 4 energy. Level 5 is reconciliation, peace, and acceptance. I am reconciling with what is. I am going to find a win-win with what is. I am going to be in peace, and I am going to act in acceptance. I accept what is. And level 6 is creativity and wisdom. I would love for us to talk about level 1 through 4 today, because that's where most of our clients live. And my hope is that as your listeners hear this paradigm and can maybe even pin where they are and start to pay attention to that energy, in any given day, we can go up and down the elevator of our emotional energy all day long, right? We've all done it. It's like you're having a great day and then something happens and you're miserable and you're down in the dungeon and what have you.
Today's episode is sponsored by MIDI Health. Guys, I want to take a minute and talk to you. Real talk. I spent 10 long years battling perimenopause with hot flashes, insomnia, brain fog, mood swings, you name it. It was brutal. And let me tell you, I would have killed for a service like MIDI Health back then. If you're over 40 and dealing with any of this, vaginal dryness, weight changes, or just feeling like you've lost yourself, you don't have to just grin and bear it. The experts at MIDI are menopause specialists, and they get it. They offer safe, FDA-approved solutions that are customized just for you. What's even better? MIDI is covered by major insurance. No memberships, no hidden fees, just real help from people who understand. So ladies, you deserve to feel great. Don't wait. Schedule your virtual visit at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com. Because thriving through menopause is completely possible.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like... yeah.
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
I think this is so fascinating. And I want to talk, there are a couple things because the level 3, the forgiveness and the cooperation, my first thought was, oh, that sounds like acceptance. So what's the difference like between cooperation and acceptance, forgiveness, right? What are the key differences there?
So with level 3, so there's 2 types of energy. Catabolic, a cancer cell is catabolic. It's a life-depleting cell. Catabolic means life-depleting. Anabolic means life-enhancing. So as we go up the energy level, victim is life-depleting. Conflict is life-depleting. Our gateway of forgiveness, I'm pretty crunchy and grumpy and unhappy, but I'm working on it. So I'm still like half catabolic.
Got it.
Whereas when I get up to win-win, right, peace and acceptance, I'm like, I have very little catabolic. I'm mostly like, I am there. This is for me. I don't know how yet, but damn it, this is for me. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to be happy about it. And not like a lipstick on a pig type thing. This is that internal mindset and emotional regulation work.
Fascinating. Okay. Got it.
So for instance, I can cooperate. Let's say, tell my spouse I want a divorce. We're living under the same roof together. You know, I'm arguing with him. I'm disliking him. All of this is going on, but I can set certain agreements and I can hold to those agreements. And I could try not to step on that bloody, slippery slope of bitching and complaining about him all the time. I can choose, because I'm at that gateway, to go, do I want to go there? Do I want to go into that more depleting energy? Nah, it's not going to serve me. I'll stay here. Far from acceptance, but I'm cooperating.
Got it. And it sounds like the gateway is almost like the move from reactive to sort of being consciously aware and then therefore at choice.
Yes. And I know you have the image, so you'll even see like you go from self, right? Where everything is about me. Anything anyone says or does is being done to me. And then when we emerge into this next level of self-mastery, right? It's like, okay, I can reframe this. I can rationalize what's going on. I can begin to adjust the way I'm perceiving it so that it benefits me. Not so I'm putting lipstick on a pig, so that a change in my perspective, because I don't know about you, but my clients, it amazes me when people come to me and truly believe that there's only one perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we want to stretch you to understand what reframe is because there's always a lot of perspectives. If you're looking at an accident, there's four corners. Which corner are you on? You're seeing a completely different accident on the northwest side than the person on the southeast side. So level 3 is that reframing, justifying, rationalizing so that I can enhance my energy and I can be more effective in what I do. And forgiveness comes in because, as you and I know, there's so much self loathing rather than self love. I know my inner critic was, if I was totally honest, at times nastier than my ex husband's voice, which is shocking to even say, but it was bad. So self forgiveness is vital for us to be able to come alongside ourselves and cooperate with this big transition we're about to go through.
I sort of see this as a move through, I mean, as all of these stages to each one is a step towards greater emotional intelligence, right? And for me, emotional intelligence is really about conscious awareness, awareness of our thoughts, feelings, actions, and therefore actually being able to, I don't want to say control them, but being at choice, being able to say, right, as you were saying with cooperation, it's, I don't like it, I'm kicking and screaming, but I know it's for the greater good, fine, or it's strategic. It's okay, sure, honey. If that's what you need to believe, right? Because we're not going to go backwards into conflict and defiance. How dare you fucking say that about me, right? It becomes okay.
Because it's more useful to cooperate. It's more useful to go,
Yeah.
okay, let's go with that. Let's
Yeah.
go with
Right.
that. Yeah. And so you're right. As you go up, and again, it's not like we leave victim and conflict. I probably was in it this past week myself, once or twice, if not more. So every circumstance, every day brings new opportunity. I like to call it an elevator, to imagine that at any given time you can step into the elevator and say, I believe I want to be in peace and acceptance. And I know how to reframe my perspective to shoot my energy up and be there. That's the skill when you really learn this and you really begin to pin where you are. And I would say, rather than control, we manage, right? When I learn how to
Right.
manage myself,
That's it.
then I don't have to throw the tantrum. I
Mm-hmm,
could,
mm-hmm.
or maybe I can just throw it in my head and maybe I can throw it between my ears for just like 15 seconds instead of 15 days or 15 hours. That's the management in emotional intelligence. And that's exactly what this energetic chart, this just gives us a structure to see. It's almost like the map in the mall. Where am I? Where am I today?
And guys, I just want to say that there is a visual representation of all of this, which will, if it's okay with Karen, we'll put in the show notes.
We can do that.
Yeah, or a link to it so that people can download it because there's so much. So I like level 6 is, joy is the feeling, but I love the core thought is synthesis. I know you wanted to focus on 1 through 4, but I still am really fascinated by this idea of synthesis.
And 6 is amazing because 6 is where our creativity lies. And so I want everyone to think about, what is that thing that you do? What is the thing that you do where the world melts away?
Mm-hmm. You lose time, right?
Fly
Mm-hmm.
by, and you are just completely in your zone. So Olympian athletes, they talk about this, that they're in their zone. They're not thinking about anything. They're one with their body and their skill, and they're just doing. And we've all got it. It used to be writing for me. It's kind of changed a little bit. My daughter is an artist. She can go into her studio and come out 5 hours later thinking it's an hour later. That's level 6. And
I love that.
and and we are tapping into that connection with all being, all consciousness when we're in that place. We cannot be there with angst and aggravation and unforgiveness. Those are the things that, like anchors, pull us back down to the lower levels.
I get that sense. I'm such a nerd. I get that when I'm in Canva and I'm designing like PDFs.
Now, Kate Anthony, when I'm in Canva, I'm in level 2, like WTF, nothing works. I don't know how to do anything. Time is flying by. I'm wasting my time. So just like our childbirth story is different, my Canva story is opposite of yours.
Right. I get so like detail oriented and anal, and I get fixated and I get frustrated. There are periods of level 2 and frustration and fuck this. And then I'm like, oh wait, okay, I'm gonna do it that way. Oh yeah, okay, that works.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so you're tapping into your creative juices, and so the coolest thing about this, and for all of you who are toward the tail end of your divorce, the opportunity to step off the battlefield, put down the sword, stop bitching and complaining about how he shows up. He shows up that way. He's going to continue to show up that way. Just let it go. You can then levitate. You can levitate to compassion, peace, joy, absolute passion. Those are all levels that are available to us. And the interesting thing about victim, I was just on this rich bitch 25-day manifesting program this morning, and she was talking brilliantly about when we face a circumstance and just go down to that victim energy, we immediately attract what we don't want. And she was talking about being in an airport and her ex-husband putting her not married name, his name on the ticket. So here she was about to go on vacation and she couldn't because the ticket didn't have her right name. And she said in that moment, she heard her head go, that son of a bitch. And I never even took his name anyway. And she walked away. She took 5 minutes. She regulated herself and she shifted up to, I want to say, level 5. This is for me. There is a way that this is for me. There is a way that this is benefiting me. And I'm going back to that desk with this beautiful energy, and I'm going to embrace what it is. She got on a flight 5 hours later. She got down to her hotel, and they unexpectedly upgraded them to like the top level. And she had this incredible experience. And she was using it as an example of the energy. We don't know how this works, right? Nobody's standing here saying scientifically, this is how it works, but it works. And so being in those higher levels of energy, especially once you're post-divorce, like whatever you do, please don't visit your divorce-like energy anymore. There's no need.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right. I talk about this all the time. I talk about, and I love it as an energy conversation that when we get divorced, we do all the legal work, we do the legal separation, we do the financial separation, we do the physical separation. And so often we forget to do the energetic separation. It's natural, right? Because self-preservation taught us to have our focus on them all the time. And like, what are they going to do next? And in order to keep this thing together. But once you've separated this thing out, like you really have this opportunity to shift your energy. Because if you're just going to keep treading that same ground over and over and over again about what an asshole he is, why bother? Why bother?
What was the point of all of that time and money and misery that you went through if that's where you are? And the truth is, like, we have an amygdala and we are going to react like the saber-toothed tiger is going after us. But if you're even at level 3, you can go, wait a second, it's not a saber-toothed tiger. And while he barks, he can't bite me anymore. And you just drop it. You just drop it like a tennis ball and you just get on with your day back up at the higher energy. So Nobody's suggesting it doesn't take work. And
That's right. I was going to say,
everybody's had their
yeah.
own journey. And the more traumatized you've been, the more healing you need to do. This is a paradigm to help you always see where you are and to always take full responsibility for what you choose. And that's the piece I want to say. Once you know, you do choose. I was just on a phone with a client this morning. She's 8 to 10 years post-divorce, and her slippery slope of going into the I can't believe and bitching and complaining 8 years later. Now, does she have misery going on for 8 years? Yes. And still, when I can bring her back to, is that the choice you want to make right now? She doesn't. So it's the awareness, it's that emotional intelligence. If we're aware, if we can see the tells in our body, I'm triggered, I'm tight, I'm angry, I'm biting my tongue, I'm ignoring my kids, whatever it is there a better way for me to handle this right now? Simply dialing up to another level. Can I go from conflict to responsibility and forgiveness can I go to concern, compassion, and service? Can I just go there? There's always a step up that you can take. And when you start doing this on a regular basis, it is like having an elevator inside of your body.
This episode is brought to you by Abercrombie. There's nothing better than the perfect jean and going out top combo, or an outfit that perfectly matches your plans. Abercrombie's relaxed jean goes with every occasion. Date nights with something lace, or daytime with a cozy sweater. And their barrel jean will surprise you. It's the trend that will become a staple in your wardrobe. Abercrombie denim comes in tons of rises, fits, and washes. Find your perfect pair online or in store.
This episode is brought to you by Atlassian. Atlassian makes the team collaboration software that powers enterprise businesses around the world, including over 80% of the Fortune 500. With Atlassian's AI-powered software like Jira, Confluence, and Loom, you'll have more time to do the work that matters. In fact, Atlassian customers experience a 25% reduction in project duration per year. Unleash the potential of your team at Atlassian.com. Atlassian.
You know, you and I have very similar paths through this stuff. And you and I have been working on the ability when I was early in my recovery journey, my first 6 months in Al-Anon, and people would say to me like, you can be happy despite what he's doing. Despite the way that your mother is behaving, because I was so rooted in number one, rooted 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. I could not conceive of being able to be happy if these people were hurting me, right? Like, because my entire identity was so wrapped up in what they thought of me, how they treated me, all of those things. And I think so many people, look, it took me, and I'm not trying to scare people into this, because also, by the way, we weren't having these direct and sort of scientific conversations about this. We didn't have podcasts to learn this, right? I was going to like
coach, no podcasts.
Right. So, but it took me like 20 years, I mean, it didn't really, right? Ultimately, probably after, a year of recovery work, I started to being brought back to step one, always being brought back, right? When I first got to Al-Anon, I had an amazing black belt sponsor. Every time I called her with, she would just say, what step are you on? And I'd be like, step 1. She said, what's the step? What does it say? We admitted that we were powerless over other people and that my life has become unmanageable. She's like, okay, are you powerless over them? And I'd be like, uh-huh. Is your life unmanageable when you're trying to when all you're doing is thinking about what they're, doing and blah, 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 blah. Is your life becoming unmanageable because you can't stop thinking about it? I was like, yes. I was like, okay, great.
And in doing that, she shifted you up to a different level.
That's right. That's right. Every time.
That was the perfect example of the reframe.
Yeah. And so, for those of you who are not familiar with 12-step work, really the idea of being powerless is not about not having choice. It's about knowing what you actually have choice over. Because I am powerless over the way other people treat me. I'm powerless over what they say. I'm because I am not them. They are not me. There is a differentiation between the two of us. And when I think I can control them and how they think or feel or act, then I'm actually in violation of their boundaries.
And what we're talking about today is your journey of empowerment. You grow more and more and more in choice, and you can't grow in choice until you grow in awareness. And so as we become more aware of where we are, and we're stuck because we're looking at the closed door and someone goes, "Hey, sweetheart, turn around. There's an open window with sun shining through right behind you." We begin to reframe, we begin to levitate up. And, Kate, I'm in like 5 programs right now. This is like my year 2025. I've decided I need a big growth spurt. And I just learned something incredible about myself that I didn't know, or I knew, but I didn't know I knew. And that is that I have a really terrible relationship with time. And I am reading The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and I've got a group of people doing the Big Leap year. So every day there's a page. And they talk about Einstein time. And so it's this brilliant concept, which I'm not going to get into. But what I realized was how catabolic I am, how level 1 and 2 I am around time. I never have enough time to launch my programs. I don't have enough time to get my website up. I don't have enough time for this. I have too much time for that. I'm hurry scurrying here. What's with the bloody freaking time? I don't honor time. I don't love time. And I say this to you on this episode because this is a journey of a lifetime. And when you figure it out with your ex, you're going to have an emerging adult, or you're going to have a next door neighbor or a boss or a new lover, or you're going to find out that you have a shitty relationship with forgiveness or time or intimacy or something else. It's all there for us. And so for me, I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow, while I may live in the higher levels in all of my relationships because I've done so much work there, when it comes to my 2 this year are money and time. And if I don't learn to love them and honor them and respect them and be open-hearted toward them, I will not be in level 5, 6, and 7 with them.
That's right. And I love what you're saying, though. This is the way that I feel about these things is that we are always growing. And if we're not, then we may as well just cash it in. Right. So when we find these things out about ourselves, we have the opportunity to go, oh, holy shit, cool. There's something more to do. Obviously, the first reaction is usually, oh, fuck, there's another layer of that fucking onion. And then we go, all right, here we go. We know how to do this, right? As opposed to just like, what's wrong with me? I'm such a failure. I thought I had it all together. I'm right back down to level 1. And like, you get to touch level 1, right? Like you get to sort of bounce down in the elevator, but just know that the elevator goes up.
So we have an assessment that we do where someone answers, I don't know, 100 or so questions. And what's so cool about it is you get to see what your primary and secondary level is under normal circumstances, and then what it is under stress. And as you can imagine, all of us plummet most of our energy down to 1 and 2 under stress. I've met 1 or 2 unicorns who had very little bit, and I was like, wow, okay, you're enlightened. I want to know what you're doing, or you lied, one or the other. So when you know that, where we are and how we behave is completely from our family of origin. So none of us licked it off of the grass. None of us are bad or wrong for it. It's just, I was created by my mother, rageaholic, my father, alcoholic. I was raised with my 2 sisters, and this is my life experience. And I did experience whatever trauma and crisis throughout my life. And so all of that is what I bring to my 63-year-old self today, and how I navigate the world. And to your point, as long as I'm always willing to say, where can I stretch and grow? Where can I be better? Where can I make my life better? Like, how could we not want to do that? I had a client go, when the fuck is this done? And I said, when you're 6
When
feet
you're
under
dead.
and when you meet your maker. Like, that's it. Like, that's it.
That's
And
right. That's right.
not to do any of it. I know plenty of people who aren't doing any work. It's courageous. Those of you on this podcast, those of you working with Kate, I mean, this is the work of the courageous. This inner work, this understanding ourselves, this reframing, this striving to be the best that we can be is not for the faint of heart. It is for the courageous.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, if you're facing this shit, and again, as if you're listening to this podcast, you are already courageous. You're already looking. You're already like lifting up the lid of the Pandora's box going, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. We're here to say it's okay. And there's a framework to help you through this. And we don't do this alone, by the way. We don't do this in isolation. We don't do this. We don't go, oh, okay, I'm gonna work on my apathy and anger. Yes, but also we do this with coaches, with therapists, with groups, with other women who are going through this as well, with sponsors in 12-step programs who go, okay, what step are you on?
Who reflect back, who help us to see where we're stuck, who help us to see the open door that we're not looking at 100%. And I would say a great place to start, if we were to give you an action step, is just start with your inner critic. Every time you hear your inner critic, is that a level 1 or level 2? What is my role with the voice that's in my head? Can I forgive my inner child for going, oh, fuck, please don't make me do that? Can I forgive my inner child? Can I come alongside? Or can I forgive my judge, my saboteur, whatever it is? And how does that shift the inner dialogue? So if you do nothing else, just play with shifting your inner dialogue. Notice when you're like, oh my God, girlfriend, you're rocking it. You look gorgeous. Look at how beautiful you got dressed to go. That's your inner voice, high anabolic, as is the one that we often hear, which is not so nice. And so just play with that. What level of energy is this? And how do I go to level 3 and reframe it if it's negative to boost up and see how it works?
Amazing. Before we close out here, I wanted to talk about one of the things in these rings in this handout is about faith. And levels 1 and 2, I see there's no faith, right? You have no faith. You have no faith that things are going to go well. You have no faith that things are going to turn out for you. You have no faith that you'll ever get out of this situation. And then in the levels 3, 4, and 5, it talks about outer faith. And then what's really interesting is that 6 and 7, it says inner faith. Can you talk about the distinctions between the outer faith and inner faith?
Yeah. And if you look, there's 3 different levels. And so 1 and 2, we're so self-focused, not in a look at me, aren't I great? In a everything that's happening is being done to me, is here to hurt me. Then we go to self-mastery, and that's the outer faith. And that's when we begin to do the work. That's when we begin to reframe. We begin to see that as we change, we have more choices. And so we're trusting in something, but it's kind of just the feedback from the world. As we're getting better, it's like, oh, okay, this does work better if I do this. And so we're going from totally egocentric, everything's about me, to, oh, I have some agency and I can make things happen. When we get to level 6 and 7, there's such a depth of connection with all consciousness, with God, with all creation, with the universe, whatever your words are language. The energy is the energy of love. When we're in level 6 and 7, we're in the energy of love, which is the energy of God, universe, creation. And that's when we trust on such a deep level. That's when, and if you think about it, when you're in your skill, right? Like, so whatever, I love writing. I sit down to write. I trust my skill. I trust what's coming out. I am connected. Whereas when I'm a victim, I am so bloody alone. in my head and
Mm-hmm.
not connected to a thing. And so those top two is self-transcendence, because it's like I am going beyond myself, beyond my own thoughts. I am connecting to something so much bigger. I am in being.
I love it. I love this framework. This is so exciting and useful. Karen, is there a link where people can sign up to receive this?
Can I create that for you?
You absolutely can. And it will be in the show notes. And then where can everybody find you? You have a great podcast, the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. Is that's the title of your podcast, right? Everything you do is Journey Beyond Divorce.
And we just recently launched our new website. So jbddivorcesupport.com is the website. Journey Beyond Divorce is the podcast. I think we're at 380 episodes and growing. Would love for you guys to tune into that. I would love to give you the gift of this energetic perception chart. I would say print it out in color, hang it on your refrigerator, near your computer, in the places where it would serve you best, and really play with it. And then I would love to just offer a free gift of, we offer a rapid relief call. It's a coaching session. We can simply talk about this energy paradigm or anything that you're going through and how to get unstuck. And so rapidreliefcall.com is a quick way you get me personally. So just book a call and we'll see how we can support you.
That's great. I love it. Thank you so much, Karen. I love you. I love everything you do. And I'm really, really happy and honored to be in this whole journey with you.
Right back at you, girlfriend, 100%.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Divorce Survival Guide podcast. If you like what you hear, head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in and leave me a review. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Divorce Survival Guide. I'll see you next time, and until then, remember, you, my love, deserve to be happy.
Hi there, I'm Andrea Owen, self-help author with 19 translations of my books, global keynote speaker, and life coach. My podcast, Make Some Noise, has been serving up self-help in a simple-to-digest way for the last decade. The topics brought in each episode are practical and easy to implement around topics such as working through fears that keep you stuck, different modalities of therapy, managing your negative self-talk, and more. We bring you guest experts, solo episodes, and I even coach listeners on the air around relatable struggles. I also do my best to weave my sense of humor into some heavy topics because, let's face it, life can be pretty hard, and it's so much better when we can have some fun while walking through our challenges. Whether you're seasoned in personal development or just starting out, Make Some Noise podcast will help you become the best version of yourself, the person you're proud of when you look in the mirror and show up in your life. Simply search Make Some Noise with Andrea Owen wherever you listen to your podcasts.